people about, telling me the fire is out. Now I'm choking on your smoke. How is it I barely breathe when it was you needing me, when it was you that I broke?
So I googled you before I got here today, and I learned that LAKY is a real word, and it means something which resembles a lake. Where does the name LAKY come from?
Right, so my actual name is Kyla, which is an anagram of LAKY, K-Y-L-A, L-A-K-Y, but it wasn't that simple. I was working, like up until November last year, I was working in sort of this music studio. And the guy I worked with, he was like, had a dream. And he came in to work and was like, I had a dream about you last night. I was like, oh yeah, had a dream, mate. And he was like, no, not like that. Like, I dreamt that you had a stage name, and it was an anagram of your name. It was like L-A-K-Y, but pronounced LAKY. And I'd already for a while had like a bit of a thing where I was like, I don't know if I should maybe try a different name or just go by Kyla, because I had an old project when, like, if you Googled me, loads of stuff came up for it. And so it was like literally the day after I came in to work and was like, I think I might change my artist name to LAKY. So yeah, the guy I worked with basically dreamt it up, and so I went with it.
And is he getting part of your sales every time now?
We're going to just skip over that and pretend like it wasn't ours, but no, he's not.
You've been through a few incarnations of yourself as an artist, from Kyla Stroud, Nat and Kyla, to becoming LAKY.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's trial and error, or you finally became this kind of artist that you wanted to be, and your branding is a result of that?
A bit of both, really. Like, I feel like all of them obviously have been part of me, and it's what I wanted to do at the time. But I think I was, especially when my first project, which was with my twin sister, it was very much like I was new to music. I was just starting to write music, and it just didn't quite feel like I'd got my identity as a person and my identity as an artist quite right yet. And then when I started gigging on my own, that really actually was more a result of my sister not actually being available to gig with me anymore. So I kind of fell into that. And just like over the years, I just felt like I'd kind of fallen into what I was doing, and I was just writing, and I didn't feel like I could call myself a professional musician because I hadn't taken it seriously enough. So yeah, it was sort of this moment where just before I moved to London, I was like, okay, enough sort of messing around here. Like, let's make this happen, and like go to London, get yourself a job in music, start like gigging your ass off basically, and like actually see if you can make this happen. And then yeah, maybe 3 or 4 months after I was in London, I changed my name and sort of started this whole new project.
Talk to me about gigging, because I know you're doing a lot at the moment, and you're doing Sofa Sounds, which is becoming really popular. Is it as glamorous as people think, or?
Oh, 100% no. Like, there are great gigs, but I'm not gonna lie, I used to have a book, especially with my sister, of bad gigs, like, because it can be really like horrific. Like, you go out there, you put your like heart and soul on the line, and people just don't give a crap really. They're just like, someone's singing and I'm trying to have a conversation, like, this is really annoying. And I'm like, yeah, it's annoying for me too that you're trying to have a conversation. But yeah, Sofa Sounds, and like there's a lot of venues out there now that are like really trying to make sure that there are spaces that are very artist friendly. Like, you're going there to listen to new music. I do feel like I'm moving in a direction where I'm playing more of those venues, which is good.
Now I'm choking on your smoke. Thank you, guys. Not gonna lie, there's like nowhere in this room you can look and feel at all comfortable. I like look straight ahead of me, and there's Lyra, who just like blew everyone's heads off with that killer vocal. And I look at this Nina Nesbitt like there, and I'm like, oh, don't look there. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's Caitlin probably judging everything I sing. Caitlin's my girlfriend. Let's just ignore everyone. Yeah, if you could all look away, yeah, great. Yeah, so I'm LAKY, and yeah, I'm currently just chilling at Tile Yard, doing my thing, and I write all the time, so much so that I wrote this today, and I thought it would be a really intelligent idea to play something I wrote today, especially when I'm literally sickeningly nervous. And most people would turn back now, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. You don't know how it goes anyway, so.
Do you have a fan base? Is there a LAKY fan base out there?
I feel like I would be so arrogant if I said yes. There's probably like a recurring 6 or 7 people that come to lots of gigs of mine, and thank them for that. But I always get like a couple of people that have seen me at previous gigs, like come along to other gigs, but because I don't have any actual music out there yet, which relates back to my other question, I gig lots because that's my only way of getting my music out there right now.
You were signed recently.
I'm signed as, to a publishing deal.
Okay.
So I'm signed as a songwriter. And to be honest, I don't really know how, because it's basically off voice notes. So I must be really talented. But yeah, so it has definitely all moved quite dramatically in like a short period of time. But more from sort of the songwriting point of view, less from the artist side at the moment. But it's hopefully moving in the right direction.
What's your end goal? What do you want to do?
I want it to be my main source of income. I want to make a living out of music, but also like I feel like I've got stuff to say that I arrogantly want other people to hear, and no, less about arrogance, but more like, especially as a sort of proud gay woman in music, I want to be out there in like the public eye so that younger people can be like, there's another gay woman that's like just totally cool with it, and she's going and doing music, and like that's an aim for me, is so that like people can see that that's normal.
And it would be difficult to interview you without mentioning that your mum is a part of the legendary Bucks Fizz.
Not the drink.
According to her Twitter, still ripping her skirt off on stage.
She is.
So
yeah, and I have not picked that up. I will not be ripping any item of clothing off in my gigs.
Were you destined to do music? Has that inspired you?
I think I was lucky that I had 2 like professional musicians as parents, so I always felt like that was an option for me. Like that, I think about my girlfriend, for example. She always sort of tells me how like it's really weird to her to be around so many professional musicians, because for her it was always a hobby, like in like the same as like when you play a sport growing up. And so I think I was lucky in that sense. I also was unlucky in the sense that I can't do a whole lot else, so that was like one of the only directions I could go in. But yeah, my parents have been super, super supportive from quite a young age. Like I went to music school at 16 instead of going to university or college. So yeah, it was always the aim for me. I never saw myself doing anything else.
So thank you for having me, and thank you guys for listening. I don't know what this is called yet. Probably Beautiful Women, because that's what I like. Don't look directly at her, she'll turn you into stone. She'll take away the thinking you used to call your own. What are you ready to lose for a beautiful woman?
So you performed with the Herd Collective over the weekend. So
Yeah.
you are moving into becoming an LGBT role model. How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't say role model, but like definitely someone that is very openly proud to be like part of the queer community. Well, I feel like I'm gonna maybe answer a question you haven't asked yet, but like I came out at 20, and for me, like before that time, I really was not content with like anything about myself really, and off. Sorry. I feel like it's super important, like if you are content with who you are and you are happy for other people to know it, that you should definitely put it out there, because one of the reasons that I only came out when I was 20 was because I really didn't like my sexuality, and was like probably would have taken it to the grave if it hadn't been for one person that I met. And so, like, for the sake of even making it very selfish, like the sake of me as a child, like there needs to be people out there in the media, like openly gay, not just openly gay, like just openly like proud of being not a cisgendered woman, male, straight person, basically, and being like, that's okay, and like we can do all this stuff and not have to be like hiding any part of us, because like especially when you're doing something like what I do, where you're trying to sell authenticity, like the songs I write are about women, so I'm going to openly say they're about women.
And that was my next question. Where does your sexuality come into your music, or do you keep it separate? How does that kind of, they work together? It's
definitely both. I don't feel like I'm one of those writers that's good enough to just write about my life. Like I wrote a song a couple of days ago about like friends of mine and a situation they're going through. So it's never all related to like me and my sexuality and my like, I'd like to think they're not all like cheesy love songs about my, I'd like to say long list of girlfriends, but it's only been 2, so. Yeah, but most of the ones that are related to my like romantic life are, yeah, all about women. And funnily enough, like even the ones before I came out, I was writing them about women, but pretending they weren't like about women. So like, yeah, it's just how it is.
And you are, I believe, quite loved up at the moment. Tell me about your...
We're on the rocks. Oh, yeah. We're not on the rocks.
Tell me about your girlfriend.
She's great and like super out of my league, but like...
Congratulations.
I must be really talented and really funny, because she is like beautiful inside and out. Yeah, so we've been together for like 2.5 years now.
Did you have a first date, or did that not happen? Did that just go from friends to...
No, but I did the typical lesbian thing and invited her on a long weekend away, like maybe a week after we were together. She actually flew back home to Australia the day after we first got together, because her visa ran out. So there was a chance that like it was never going to happen. And I just thought, this was the girl that I was like, oh my God, that's never going to happen in a million years. And then it did. And I was like, oh, now she's gone forever. But she came back. So, and we've been together since then. So, da-da-da-da.
And are any of your songs about her?
Yes.
Tell us which ones.
Well, they're not out, so like you can't really search for them. But like a lot of, when that happened, literally the day after she left for Australia, I wrote like 8 songs in a week all about her.
A whole album.
Most of them quite mean actually, because I thought she just used me. One of them's called My Eyes Are Red, and it's basically talking about her hair colour, because she's a redhead. The songs weren't particularly good, but I wrote a lot about her at the time. You don't write as much when you're happy, weirdly. Like, it's quite good that I got the publishing deal when I did, because I'm kind of forced to write, because our relationship's really good. So there's only so many times you can be like, I love so much, she's so great, we're really happy, let's just rub it in everybody's faces. Probably should have sang properly, because if anyone hears that and thinks that's how I sing, they're definitely never going to listen to anything.
So where are you now? What's your kind of, where are you heading to? You're gigging at the moment, have you got stuff coming up?
Gigging all the time, like usually at least once a week. So I gig a lot with Sofa Sounds, but those gigs are usually like secret gigs, so you don't actually know I'm going to play them. So there's no point in me saying come to one of those. But yeah, if you follow me on like social media, that's the only way to sort of see gigs that are happening. I am recording music a lot and sort of trying to get a team around me so that then when I release, I can sort of have some kind of proper goal in place. I don't like to ever make goals that are too far away because I feel like that's just sort of setting myself up for disappointment. I go sort of small goal at a time, and that's worked for me so far. So
good. So if Emily Evis called tomorrow and said Glastonbury, is that on the list?
Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, one of my like best mates just played Glastonbury because she won the emerging competition. I was quite open to her about being like hugely jealous. I was like, I'm so happy for you and so proud of you, and I also hate you a lot right now. But yeah, no, festival season is definitely, hopefully, on the cards next year.
Good.
If I get music out in time, which is also on the cards.
When I hear your music, I hear a bit of country, a bit of indie, you know, a kind of eclectic mix of all those things.
Okay.
Where does that come from?
So I grew up listening to, weirdly, not any of those things. I grew up listening to like Motown, soul, and like proper 80s pop because of my mum. My dad's a bass player, so he listened to a lot of like Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, those kind of bands. And somehow this country twang came out of that.
Can anybody help me? I gotta stay away. I sold my soul to a devil and never got paid. What am I ready to lose for a beautiful woman?
But I really love country music. Like, I'm quite, not ashamed to say I'm quite into Dolly Parton. Mainly as a songwriter, I just think she's like super badass woman when it comes to songwriting. Yeah, I like a range of music, and I think I've found that I like songs over genres. So, and I think that comes out in the way I write. Like, I never sit down being like, I'm going to write a song that sounds like this song, or, which is weird because when I go into sessions now, people are like, oh, do you have an inspiration playlist? I'm like, oh, not really. Like, there's quite a range of stuff I'm inspired by. So I just try and write things that, number one, I like to sing because I'm a singer. And number two, like, I feel like other people will be able to sort of get and understand, like, and if it's catchy too, that's always helpful. Yeah, don't know, indie country apparently.
That's what I hear. Have you ever busked or anything like that, or do you just go straight onto stage and kind of studio and stuff? How much money did you make?
London, not as much, but I busked in my hometown, which is like near Tunbridge Wells. I used to make like 80 quid a day doing a couple of hours. I think because they genuinely thought I was like possibly homeless, which maybe wasn't like ideal, but in London I made like 50 quid in a couple of hours. But it's not really about that for me. It's more about sort of, it's a great way to get out and just try out new material and see how it goes down.
Did you ever get anything from it? Like a kind of, anyone ever hear you who...
I didn't busk enough, I feel, to do that. Like, I won this competition, this busking competition last year that was run by the Mayor of London. And I felt awful because the title of like the newspaper was like London's best busker. And I think I'd busked like 3 times in London. I was like, oh God, those poor people that are going around like busking every day. And I've just swooped in being like, I'll take that. Yeah, I want to do it more. I've got an underground licence, so I can go and busk on the underground and everything, but I just don't have time at the moment.
So that brings me on to my last question. If there are any young musicians at home or fans of yours who want to get into music, what's your best advice for them? How do they do it?
I feel like I'm not far along enough in my career to give out like solid advice, so please don't like take this to the T. But my advice would be something I wrote actually the other day on Instagram, trying to be all like wise. Don't make excuses for yourself, like as to why you're not moving forward, because I did it for like years. If you want it enough, like go out and try to do it. Like gig as much as you can, write as much as you can, stay authentic more than anything. Like, if you're putting something out there, people have to believe it. So if you don't, then there's no point. But yeah, like, you're offering something, like, you're offering a form of entertainment. So if you really want to do it, just try and do it. You'll know pretty quickly if you're not very good at it, I think. Some people will tell you. I hope so anyway, otherwise I've gone this long and no one's told me yet, so they probably should if like, I'm actually really awful.
My mama always taught me, watch out for danger signs, especially the ones who dress up to the nines. What are you willing to lose for a beautiful woman? My heart is black and blue for my beautiful woman. Beautiful women are calling me, beautiful women my ecstasy. Beautiful women tonight, come free. What are you willing to lose? Don't look directly at her, she'll turn you into stone. She'll take away the thinking you used to call your own. What are you ready to lose for a beautiful woman? Oh, my heart is black and blue for my beautiful woman. You guys.